Okay, so if you watched my last speed run, that was a little bit disappointing as we underestimated his piece. So we're going to try again, see if we can get up to 2,500. Obviously, we are going to lose the odd game, but you know, even but we've got to be careful. We've got to treat the game with respect. And I relaxed too much in the last game, so in this game, concentration all the way through, and I'll try to keep the tempo up a little bit so I don't get in time trouble. So one of my normal openings is the French defense, which I'm going to play here. I like the French. It's a good solid way to get in the game, but it has very dynamic possibilities. This is the Tarish variation. I normally always meet this by bringing my knight out, pressurizing the pawn, and the normal move here is for the pawn to go on and my knight to come back. And let's hope he's, I'm not saying he is, but obviously I have faced a lot of computer cheats drawing my time doing this speed run. So it's just sometimes when the pace of their moves, when they're obvious moves, is every set period of time, you get a bit suspicious. But there's no indication that's the case here. Anyway, back to the opening. So he attacked my knight. My knight came back. And one of the main ideas in the French defense is you attack your opponent's strong center and you get good counter chances against that. If I'm not able to attack this center, my opponent has a very nice space advantage, and he can use that space advantage to turn it into an attack. So we've got to look at what part of the pawn structure is the weakest. And in this case, it's this square. We've used the c5 break as a lever to attack that square. The other break we often use is the f6 break, sometimes the g5 break, but at the moment this square is key. So we're going to target the d4 square, and we're going to try to increase pressure on that square. So my opponent comes around, defends that, and there's a couple of variations here. I think f5 is quite a good line. Bishop e7 is okay, but the old line which I like to play is queen b6. It's quite brutal. We're just trying to attack the square as much as we can, and if my opponent would love to put the bishop here, but then I could win that pawn. So instead he's going for another development idea. And now there's a couple of options. I think taking bishop b4 is one, but an old line which I like to play is bishop e7 and castles, and then f6, and we try to blow the center up, even if we have to sacrifice a piece. This is a very peculiar move, not a normal move, because it looks like a mistake to me. Whenever you develop a piece, you must have a reason. What is the bishop doing there? Yes, if it went there, I might be able to capture there and win something, but on this square, it's very strange, and I don't know what it's doing there. So now I'm going to open it up a little bit by capturing once, and I expect my opponent to recapture with the pawn. He doesn't. He recaptures with the knight. So another move I did not expect, and I suppose he wants to move his other knight here. So I could now try to move this knight into e4, because this knight is a bad piece. The other option is to try to open it up more by taking here. So what do we like? If this one is like slower, but if I move knight here, knight here, knight here, it seems like he gets quite nicely developed. So we're going to get rid of this knight first, and on the next move, if pawn takes, this check is now quite tempting because it forces king to move. But the other line I like playing is f6 to try to bust open the position. I don't really want him castling. This is the one thing I want to stop. So here, knight f3, takes, castles. Can he castle them? This is a trick that we often look for. So I'm going to flick in this check. So we've both maybe lost a move, but this at least forces his king to move potentially to where it doesn't want to move to. And now I'm going to play f6 straight away because I want to open it up as quickly as I can. And he's probably going to get safe with these two moves. He doesn't do it. So now my bishop probably has to move. I say probably because I've got takes here. as a potential piece sacrifice. But then king g2. Do we have enough there? I don't think so. So we have to move the bishop back. But okay, this move hasn't really helped him either. And again, the general idea is to, you see how I'm using both of these levers to try and open it up with these levers. I'm going to castle now. And after knight here, can I, another idea, takes. Can I go knight takes? No. So it's quite hard to open this position up. So there's no obvious way I can just, you know, really open the structure. So I probably need to move my pieces that are on bad squares to better squares. So this knight was probably going to be much better here. So I might move it back there. But let's just make sure there's no breaks. G5 looks a little bit too much. I'm going to move this back because my bishop needs to come in the game. My bishop would love to come out to one of these two squares. This is a standard French defense idea. And the other idea is to move my knight. Let's move the knight first. I think it's better here because we have a bit of pressure on the center. It's better than being here. But I'm just going to try to develop in a normal way now. Let's try to get the bishop around. I think this is fine for me because my knight should be quite good because now it has, you see how it's improved. It's on d7 where it had no future. And now it has a much better way of coming in the game. But I've also got full development here. Yes, my opponent has maintained his center, but he's done it in a bit of an uncomfortable way. And now I'm just going to play normal moves, put the rook on the open file. This is, I think, going to be followed up by knight here. And next up, I'm going to get my bishop, hopefully, to the square. So my opponent now captures before I maybe block it up. My bishop comes to a square where it creates some threats. And I'm quite happy the way this is going so far. I'm not threatening to take this one, even though he stops that. But now my knight dives in. The other possibility maybe I could have thought about there a bit more was moving the rook in first. Just trying to activate on the open file. But the knight looks so good here. And now my opponent's light square bishop is a key attacking piece. So I'm going to eliminate it because that is the one piece that can cause me trouble. I know my knight was great, but I think my knight's done its job. So with this move, I'm swapping off my good knight, but I'm swapping it off my opponent's bishop. And that bishop is just the one piece that's annoying. And can you think what I'm going to follow this plan up with? Okay, so he is winning a pawn, which I must admit I didn't consider enough. But it might not matter so much. It's only a pawn. I missed that he had this check. And he surely doesn't need to think long about this move. Why is he thinking about this move? I mean, okay, because now if I get my bishop here, the pawn is really irrelevant. Imagine how strong the bishop here is going to be. And also a bishop on a light square. Well, if I take here now, he takes with this pawn. I have to move my queen. That's annoying. If I move here, he goes g4. So he has stopped me from doing what I want to do. Again, annoying move, but this is such a key idea. I think I should get rid of this one anyway. Now, where am I going to move my queen to? He's got to take with the d pawn. There's no doubt about it. Let's go here. It seems the most active square. And again, I'm really trying to get these two moves in. If I get these two moves in, my bishop is going to far outweigh his. So he stops it by coming here. A good move. And my bishop still can't get to its ideal square. So let's use the rooks. But is there any way I can really use these in a really powerful way? Because I guess he's going to go rook here, but then I can get my bishop in. So let's use the rook, moving it forwards. Later on, I might be able to get here. One weird idea is going to go rook here and then bishop there, but this is more active than it was. And now my queen can come in behind the rook. So now rook c2 becomes the main idea, and then the bishop can come here. And as soon as my bishop lands on this square, it should be game over. Maybe I'm being a little bit over the top with that. So rook here, I'm going to get my bishop in. He has to play this. It might not be game over. I am a pawn down, but the bishop is going to be strong. It's probably just game on rather than game over. Now, is he going to move his queen? I want to get this rook trying to come in. I want to bishop here and then the queen trying to get on light squares. All of these ideas. look very valid. So he's come forward. So now my bishop comes here. Check. Can I get my queen to f3? That is the ideal way to go. Well, which way do I do that? 1, 2, 3, or do we go 1, 2, 3? I think we're going to try to keep on the open file. Now this move is annoying. Don't know if I can do much about that. I can go rook here, the queen comes in there. That is an annoying move. So maybe this way's better, because something like this, because I can keep an eye on the one weakness, and I'm trying to stop his counterplay with this idea. But the downside of this, give him the c file. But it's a big idea, right? The queen coming in on the light squares like this. And let's continue that plan. Which way do we go? Maybe we even come this way now, because we have a quicker way in, straight into f3 via h5 here. These two ideas, big threats, very greedy move. And like I mentioned before, I'm not too worried about pawns at the moment. When you're in an opposite colour bishop position and there's queens on the board, the pawns don't matter. It's who gets the attack in. And I'm now starting to generate some ideas with this check here. So is this check here, here? It's very strong, but it's not quite winning. So I can't see an immediate win with these two. This is going to be good, don't get me wrong, and I'm going to win a lot of pawns. But I have a rule: if you can't win immediately and your opponent, you can't see a good defense, bring in reinforcements. The rook is the only piece not doing anything. And why do I start grabbing the fruit from the tree until it's completely ripe? Let's wait until it's completely ripe. And it's going to be ripe after this move. This move is a killer. The rook joins in. I've got 3 pieces swarming around his king, and he has to give up his queen. And now I'm still very capable of messing up this position, but it would be a little bit upsetting if I did here. The way I'm playing, I wouldn't be surprised. Queen is a queen. So we really, in this game, we saw the power of the opposite colour bishops. This was it. And this bad French defense bishop, the way it's really come to life is key. Key, I think, to winning this one. And it kind of started with this knight maneuver. Sometimes it's just looking at your pieces, working out if you have time. My king is perfectly safe, by the way, in h7, so I don't have to worry about any checks. And if you do have time, maneuvering to the better squares. So working out the square you want to get the piece to, and then working how you will get it there. You can go from the square it's on to there and just make a route, or the other way around, from the square you'd like it on and go backwards. But of course, if you're doing these maneuvers, which we did in this game, so we saw this maneuver and this knight coming back, we had to work out, do we have time? So you've got to really understand what your opponent is trying to do in those positions. If your opponent is building up threats, or if the position is quite tactical, you probably don't have time to do these maneuvers. You have to do something a bit more urgent. But in games as we saw here, and my opponent is he can resign now. This queen is going to come to one of these two squares with devastating effect. But I'll take his pawns first, because greed is good in chess. So that's it. But timing is something people don't talk about really enough in chess. And what I mean by that is, do you have time to do the maneuver? Top players, they see these things automatically. Like Hikaru just works it out through tactics. And tactics is a great way to improve those skills. But for us mere mortals, we need more time to work things out, and it's really seeing what your opponent's threats are. And I'm not really sure why my opponent is insisting on moving, still moving here. But I mean, he's going to let me get another queen or a rook. Is he going for stalemate? I don't know what he's going for. But this was a pretty smooth game. I think hopefully you'll agree, and it's going to be checkmate. Well, maybe in 2 moves if he really wants to stubbornly fight on, but in 1 move otherwise with this. And my opponent from Saudi Arabia, and I know they're starting to sponsor a lot of things and some chess events which is quite interesting. I mean, I'm okay. He is fighting on till the end, and why on earth he's not moving now? I wonder. I mean, okay, he wants to play till checkmate. Fair enough. Now, do please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It's aimed at improving your chess, and you know, chess is a tough game, and I am a grandmaster. I've got decades of experience playing and learning. You should see my chess book collection and all the information I absorbed, and now in this format I can try to share that information in a better way with you, make you a better player, which I'm trying to do with these speedruns, and we will get to 2500 one day. Cheers for watching. Like me, subscribe me, well, the video, you don't have to like me, I don't care. Bye for now.